All right, man. Welcome back to Agree to Disagree. And if you're new, welcome to Agree to Disagree. Got my boy Jay Lloyd, Greg Williams, Pops, and James. My man, Coach Brian. All right, quick little side story. So for the last 4 or 5 episodes, they done let me call James Brown Rick James. So people that did know that and didn't correct me, come on, man. You gotta let me know in the comments. So yeah, I apologize, James. That is James Brown, not Rick James. That's on me. I'll take that. All right, but but we'll get right into it, man. So today, the first topic we're gonna talk about the whole Lou Williams thing. All right. So if we follow the hoop, we kind of already know what happened. We don't really need to say where he went. Long story short, he got a 10-day quarantine. Everybody's just gonna give their opinion on and thoughts on what they think about the quarantine, Lou Williams' decision, and so on. I don't really think this one is gonna be like, well, I disagree. We're just gonna give our view on the whole situation. So to start it off, we're gonna go with Jay. Go ahead, Jay.
Yeah, man. So appreciate you, John. Hey, I'm just not feeling it, man. I just feel like, at the end of the day, I feel the NBA is trying to obviously do everything they can in terms of safety precautions, but I think it's more about where he ate than the fact that he ate. Because if he goes to Wingstop, if he goes to Denny's, if he goes anywhere else, is this gonna be a story? You know what I'm saying? Like I just feel like they made it more of a story based on where he was. Now at the end of the day, I think he has to have better discretion in terms of like, all right, I'm gonna get in, get out. I'm not gonna make a big scene. Obviously, I know that the rapper took the picture on his Instagram and had to delete it or whatnot. So that kind of changed the whole flow of what going on. And I think Lou tried to say it was old and then backtrack. So I just feel like if he had came out from jumping and this would happen, I don't think it would have been as bad. But at the end of the day, he just went to get some food. So there still is no proof, even though we know where he was, that it was nothing else but him going to get some wings. And there's been previous interviews that he's talked about that being his favorite place to go eat. So he had at least 2 or 3 interviews on that. Lastly, before I let the guys go, I do think the punishment is fair. I know you either can quarantine 4 or 10 days based on if you're quarantining, I believe, when you're gone, or how big of the party is that you attend. So if it's a wedding or this, I guess they change it based on where you're going. So I think the 10 days is fair, man, because he said he was going to a funeral. He did. Then he went to go get something to eat. But where he went, obviously you're kind of exposing yourself to, the virus, man. So at the end of the day, we want to be safe. So that's my thoughts, man. At the end of the day, I feel like he went to go get something to eat. I feel like the NBA and the media are going to make it more of a story at this point because of where he went. But I still feel like let the man go eat where he eats. That's it.
Point. Go ahead, Craig.
Yeah, I totally agree with Jared, man. I think it was a bad judgment call. And I'll
Mm-hmm.
give him the benefit of the doubt. Say that's his best, favorite food spot, wing spot. I feel that 'cause I know what it's like to want your favorite food. Like I said, I was telling John yesterday, you have to have a championship mentality. And I think about how the Lakers wild out in the '80s. I use an extreme example. They wild out, but they would never put their team or a championship at risk like that. And I think that he did that. And also too, when Jared said the punishment fits the crime, we talked about it before the show. I just think that the NBA can strongly argue that you might have more high risk COVID candidates at that type of establishment than at a
Mm-hmm.
church or grocery store or drugstore. And I think that the thing is, the NBA is handling it so well, despite if you like the snitch rule or not, because out of all the other sports, besides maybe the European Soccer League, their season was 80% done, and also too they're able to, put everybody in the bubble which kind of gives them a leg up versus baseball, who has more players in the roster, who's starting a new season, who can't, quarantine all these teams. And the NBA is a whole nother story I don't want to get into. But the NBA handled this so well. I'm kind of disappointed in the decision he made. Even if you would have sat in the car or door dashed it, I think that would have been a better look. And also too, the format, we talked about this before on previous shows. The format that they have, he's gonna miss 2 games. That's huge in this format because dude's out of shape. The basketball sloppy. They're not paying D, and he's averaging 18.7 a game, third leading scorer on the team. That's a big deal with this type of format, with the type of player he is, who's instant offense, off the bench. And I think, like Jay said, it's a 4-game minimum, but of course he was gonna get to 10, with what he did. But I'm disappointed in Lou, but I think that the NBA is handling it well, and that's pretty much all I have to say on the matter.
Yeah, I agree. You gotta have a little bit more discipline than that, Lou. Go ahead, Pops.
Hey, here you go. Y'all know, see, y'all being nice. Listen, the decision that Lou made was dumb. Him getting something to eat, I know how it is when I want my favorite food, like Craig said. I get that when you want your favorite food. But you know what's at stake. And so far, man, Adam Silver is doing a tremendous job of trying to keep this thing under control while they're in their bubble. Here's the thing what got Lou in trouble. Social media. That's what got him in trouble. Now you gotta realize back in the day, when there was no social media, we wouldn't have known about this. But social media, his boy posted a picture and then he got the mask on and they talking about, oh, I miss my boy, this was old. Bro, you got a mask on, it was only And the thing is, and I think Adam Silver just made a quick decision. He said, man, we're not going, because everybody's going to jump on this. You're just going to quarantine 10 days regardless. Well, hey, man, I went there for 15 minutes. It don't matter. But you had up a picture, then you backtrack. If I'm, this is when, like, if I'm a Kawhi Leonard or a PG, I'm ticked because here it is when you're in those no-name, like those no-name players that was for the Kings or whoever. This was Lou Williams going to get some wings that's named after him, like Dwight Howard walking around with the mask. You're Dwight Howard. So when you want that light, the Clippers is in that light now. There's not the bottom dwelling Clippers anymore. You try to win a chip. So everything you do is magnified, and Adam Silver is really trying to keep this thing on the bubble, especially with the Clippers. I think, man, they got like 4 or 5 players that's not even, in right now, that's coming in, with the same thing. So now when somebody else has an excuse, it's going to, Adam Silver might say, hey, man, when you come back, you might have to do it 10 days. So now that makes it tough. And then with this thing with baseball, come on. And see, now, not to get off that, but this thing with baseball, I think now you see, like, if you really don't have no protocol in place, your season is in jeopardy. So I just think it was a bad decision on Lou. I love Lou's game. I've always liked this game. I really hated when the Lakers got rid of him, but I knew why. And you have to throw him in there because Lou get buckets. That's what Lou does. So I just think, when you're a leader and you got that bullseye, that's why I think some teams are not, we talk about on LeBron, but them guys know what at stake. You take like Caruso. I mean, it was going to be too many people at his sister's wedding, and they just told him, man, you got 100+ people, you got to do 10 days. So just a bad decision. Here again, social media got a player in trouble. Just stay off of social media.
Yeah, I feel you, man. If I'm Lou, I gotta check my boy, man. You gotta, especially if you're going to an establishment like that, you gotta lay it out. As soon as you get in there, hey, man, none of that. I'm just here to get some wings. I ain't really supposed to be here. We gotta lay that out. But your boy pull out the camera, you throwing up the peace sign, like Jay said. It's like, come on. Go ahead, B. Oh, hold on. Go ahead.
real quick, but Lou has always, Lou has
Yeah.
been Lou. We all know
Yeah,
Lou just gotta
he's built
Lou
different.
from the street. Like I'm not
Yeah,
finna change nothing. Even what he said about Kurt, I'm like, man, this cat Lou is
bro.
on something different. I'm sorry, go ahead, B.
No, I mean, I agree. John just brought it up. Like, I mean, we're all men here, obviously, and, for our viewers as they get older too. But, I'm not going to pass judgment on it. But obviously, I think it was a bad, lapse of judgment on his part. I feel like if you're really going in there just for the food, why don't you have one of your people go inside or call them up? They have the wings named after you, bro. So I'm not saying you don't go in there for the wings. You know what I mean? But if they know you like that and you're Lou Williams, call them up. Be like, yo. I'm out the bubble. I'm not supposed to be in there, like John said. Can you bring the wings out? I'll pay you a little extra or whatever. But it's just, I mean, we all knew what he was doing when he went in there. And like John said, I mean, another point I didn't really think about. If you're going to go in there, and like I said, and you're well known, it should already be, yo, man, put the phones away. I don't want pictures because I was looking through, actually what Jay brought up, like the whole perk thing, the exchange they had on Twitter. And then Montrezl Harrell came out and said, well, like, chill out, Perk. You don't know the whole background story of it. And then the people in the comments that were in there, like the DJ, I think, took a picture too. And he wasn't just in there for the wings. You know what I mean? So it's like, obviously, it puts it in perspective too. And I think it goes to show maybe even just LeBron's leadership too. For Alex Caruso to be so locked in, and I don't think it's just Alex Caruso. I really feel like it has a lot to do with LeBron, and what he's trying to prove for himself. It's like, he's like Pop said, he missed his own sister's wedding, man. Like, and apparently him and his sister are really close from what I've read into the story. So it's like, if he's sacrificing that, like, you can't sacrifice, not going into an establishment like that and, throwing up the peace sign. So, but like I said, I'm not going to pass judgment. Every man, has their faults. Nobody's perfect. But I mean, it goes to show me, I'm not going to take it as far to say he doesn't want to win or the Clippers are not a championship team. I just think, he dropped the ball. He's a big name guy. He came out, he backtracked, like Pop said. He said 4 different things. Then he finally said, all right, man, look, I went in there. It's like, bro, if you know you got caught, like, it's all over social media. Just admit it. Like, what do you just take the
On
L
that,
and
man
then,
up. On that.
yeah, man up and take the L and just be like, yeah, they caught me, my bad. Like, but before I send it over to John, I was listening to it when I sent it to you guys in our group chat. Katino Mobley has a radio show he's a part of on Saturdays. And he says, I don't know if it was him or if it was the other guy, I can't remember, but they're talking about maybe it has to do so much with Doc Rivers giving a player so much freedom. Obviously, I didn't know, before he said that, I didn't know about he went to, whoever it was, his funeral, which, I totally believe in, and, he did go or whatever, but they're starting to think, maybe he's such a player's coach that he was like, he's too lenient on it. You know what I mean? Because we don't know why Montrez left. We don't know why Patrick Beverly left. Obviously, we know why Lou Will left. But, and it to me, it's like it brought up like, oh, I never really thought about it that way. But, he's such a well-respected coach that you don't think of it like that. But I just thought I'd bring that up, see what you guys think about that. But, yeah, I don't agree with it. He got caught. Now, it's like Craig said, now it puts their season and their seeding into jeopardy too. So we'll see how it goes.
Go ahead, Jay.
I wanted to just answer Brian's. I thought that's a great point, BG. I think you could coach that way when you have a veteran-laden team like Boston. You got Kevin Garnett, you got Ray Allen, you got guys who are at the tail end, and it's all about a championship. You can kind of coach, and that kind of goes what we always talk about. Like, I feel like you have to adjust your coaching style based on your personnel, man. If you got KG as your leader, he's going to kind of hold the fort down. So you don't have to do, I think, as much of the off-the-court management as you would with a KG, or Ray Allen, and Paul Pierce, right? But you got Kawhi, who we probably have heard is an amazing player, but he more tries to lead by example. Who do you have underneath him that the guys respect enough? And I thought Lou Williams was that elder statesman, like, for them in terms of a vet. And so now he goes out and makes this decision. Like you said, I still stand by, but man, that's a great point. Like, the leadership kind of shows in that situation.
But do you think, because, obviously it being Lou or Lou Will, like, do you think the locker room is more receptive to him being like, yo, my bad. I dropped the ball. I'm coming to y'all. Like, this is where my head's at. Obviously, I shouldn't have done it. But, I mean, you're asking grown men to be in a bubble. You know what I mean? Like, these are grown men. Obviously, they're getting paid millions. But, is it one of those, like Pop said, is the media blowing it out of proportion too much? Is it because, the NBA has done such a great job and then, one of, not the superstars, but one of, a high name, gets caught doing that? It's, to me, it's like you said, though, you don't know how the locker room is going to handle it because, I'm all for people who lead by example, but like you said, you need somebody to still be, that guy, because what's Kawhi going to say? You really think Kawhi is going to be in the locker room shouting at him? Like, we don't really know, and we'll never really know. So
I'll answer that, man. As a fan who bleeds red and blue, I think I can kind of get some.
Knock it off. Knock it off. Been a
Yeah.
fan for 9 months. You
You
kidding me?
gonna leave with that?
You've been a fan for 9 months.
Hold on, man. Hear
Come
me
on,
out.
man.
Hear me out, man. Hear
You
me
said
out.
who
Hear me out.
bleeds
Hear me
red
out.
and blue.
Hold on, hear me out.
Not even
So
the
look,
primary color. It's white.
This is what I'm saying, man. I don't agree with Cuttino Mobley. All right. At the end of the day,
I don't know if it was him, so don't quote me. It might have been the
My bad.
other host.
Whoever said what on it's his podcast, though, right?
No, it's the thing they have like a time slot on the radio show. I can't remember the name of it. It's on AM 570, but yeah.
Whatever the case is, I don't think Doc gets blamed for Lou Williams' actions. I don't think that questions his leadership. I don't think that questions if he's too much of a player coach. I just don't think that falls into it. He said he was going to a funeral, which he did go to the funeral. And then after that, he made the choice. It wasn't a good choice. He made a choice to go to where he went. That has nothing to do with Doc Rivers. That doesn't have nothing to do with giving his team, his players, too much of a, being too lenient. He was told he was going to the funeral. Now, if he said, hey, Doc, I'm going to this funeral, and then after I'm going to pop my head in here, that's different. But I don't think that was the case. Now,
I don't think he said that.
Yeah. And this is like, it's wrong. Don't get me wrong. It's wrong. But Jay said something earlier. Lou Williams has always been Lou, right? Now, those of us that know Lou Williams and we're old enough to know Lou Williams, we know what that means. Now, he did lose somebody, right? And apparently it was close to him. He said it was a big tree in his life. I think that was it. I think that's what he said.
Yeah.
So, I mean, me personally, when I lose someone, I go somewhere that comfort me. Now, that place might comfort Lou. Now, doesn't mean it's the right thing, but that might be somewhere that comforts Lou, where he has familiarity. He probably wanted to be somewhere where he felt comfortable. Not saying it was the right decision, but that could be it. It's just tough, man, because during these times, a lot of people ain't really able to do stuff that they used to do. Grief or losing someone clouds judgment a little bit. But like Craig said, if you trying to win the championship and that's your focus, you got to be able to kind of block that emotion out a little bit, that noise out a little bit, and lock in and do what you're supposed to do. So yeah, that's pretty much my take on it. But the whole Doc Rivers thing, being too much of a player coach, I don't really think that's on him. I don't think that's on anyone in the Clippers organization.
Yeah.
Lou Williams is a grown man. He made that decision. I don't even think he would put the weight of what he did on someone else. But I do agree with the NBA, like Craig said, based on the establishment he was in. I think the time for the punishment is long. Well, it's the right time. Yeah. Go ahead, B.
I'll say this too. I mean, I'll go ahead, Pop. You gonna say something?
Yeah, I just want to piggyback on a few things because Adam Silver had to do this to only make it right. He had to do it because everybody knew the protocol, and Adam Silver, like, everybody's really watching the NBA like, can they really get through this without a mishap? And that's where, Lou was just being Lou. It was just wrong, bad decision making. No, Doc is not to blame because I think Doc is a type of coach that will hold you accountable for your actions. He's not going to put you in the media. He's not going to do those subliminal messages. So he's not going to do a Phil Jackson type, I'm going to throw this out there so they can know how I feel. He's not going to do that. But I'm quite sure Doc was hot. I'm quite sure all the players were hot. One thing we do have to understand, we do have to, let's realize this. Those NBA players know what Magic City is. they know what Magic City's about. They know. They know where it's at. They know the location. They know how it go down. And then one thing, and I think some of these NBA players, they gotta, hey man, one thing about, like Montrez trying to go at Perk. Perk know the deal, man. Perk know what it is. So don't sit up there trying to protect your boy. Perk
but to question like his character, call him immature like that, he made a bad decision. But I think Lou made a great point. He said after 15 years, all you can say is getting on me about getting some wings after someone passing. Perk ain't in the right. I disagree with him.
But like Jay said, look who Perk had to look up to when he was playing the game. He's with Kevin Garnett, Paul Pierce, or Ray Allen. So he's going.
That doesn't justify what he said, bro.
Yeah, it may not justify it, but I mean, who was Montrez Harrell trying to back up Lou Williams? How come Kawhi?
Who is Perk to say anything?
Man, they gotta stop getting off on Perk.
Oh, like man, that. Nah, man, Perk be talking reckless, man.
I'll jump on that one, Pops. I mean, I get what you're saying, Pops, but at the same time too, though, it's like a lot. I think Matt Barnes came after him too. It's like, bro, you can't go from being a player and then you're just on the other side now. Like, not saying you can't get a job because a lot of former players have the job that the Perk has, but it's like the way he starts going in sometimes, and it's like Lou Will said, he's like, bro, like, but when you see me in the streets, you laugh it off and say it's for TV. Like, you really think Lou Will might lie about that? But then, that's where, to me, it's like it gets twisted for me. It's like you can say what you're gonna say, but when you see me in real life, if you're not gonna, be like, yo, yeah, I did say that. Like, that's how I feel. Like, what's up? And he kind of just like, oh no,
I was gonna say something else, but this brought up a point that Stephen A. Smith made a while back. Yep. At the end of the day, Perks ain't a basketball player no more. His job is to do what he did, whether Lou agrees with it or not. He has to man up and take what he said. He doesn't have to, agree, but that doesn't mean that your response has to be a certain way.
So you think you think Perk's response was respectable in a respectable manner? Like, do you think that's how you address it? Well, you don't think there was a jab in the response?
Maybe not, but I think if he wasn't getting paid to speak, it may not, that comment may not have come out the way it did.
But you don't think you lose credibility though, Craig? Like, say you're like all about the brotherhood, like I ride for my people, like that's my team, this and that, like, but then you're out here now, you're just like, not that, I mean, like you said, he gets paid to call people out, and Charles probably does, Shaq does too. But it's like, to me, it just seems like it's like not even just the way to do it, but to me, it just seems like Perk is he goes on TV and tries to act like the tough guy still, but then you're out here and you're bashing your former, not even teammates, but former people you used to play against. You know what I mean? It's like, I didn't agree with it.
Go ahead, Jay.
I mean, I think all you guys are on the right track. I just feel like, there has to be a level of integrity. And ESPN, as we all know, has been struggling in the ratings. So I don't think that this is unintentional that they kind of give Perk, they put him in positions to have to make these comments that draw in ratings the same way he did it about KD. Now I thought KD still came at him way too. I mean, that was what KD was saying was kind of out of pocket. But with that being said, just there's a level of loyalty, man. Like, I'm loyal to y'all. So if I know get a job on TV, I just feel like, I'm gonna speak my truth, but I'm not gonna roll y'all under the bus because that's what they want me to do.
It could have been different.
More ratings.
And you can
just tell a little bit.
Say it different.
And
you don't got to be like, after,
and you question the man's whole integrity off one mistake. Like, come on, man. Like,
especially when you don't know him. You don't really know him.
Exactly. A grown man.
Then last thing, going back to Lou Will about the I was reading comments. People are like, they're on him like, oh, you're putting everybody's life in jeopardy in the bubble. But but to his response was, well, like, we know if we leave the bubble for whatever reason, we can't go back in unless we get tested twice or something like that. So it's like not saying to condone, obviously, like I'm not saying that, but for people that are maybe thinking like, oh, well, he's putting everybody's life. He possibly could have, but the NBA is not allowing you to go back in right away. They have their own area where they keep you till they're like, okay, you tested negative. Now we're gonna let you back in, to the bubble instead of just being like, oh, you're back. We're gonna throw you back in.
Right.
I think it kind of goes into what Jay was talking about, man. The whole storyline. He was wrong, but obviously the media is trying to make it bigger than what it is. I don't think it's a big deal. He did make a mistake, especially like Craig said, based on this format and how many games they got to playoff, and you're trying to get the right seed in. But live and learn, man. I'm still bleeding blue and red till he get back, man.